My husband and I let his 8-year-old sister live with us rent-free, but when she demanded we buy her a car, and his parents said, "It's your responsibility now," we kicked her out, and then discovered the shocking truth they never expected us to expose. I'm 25 years old. I work in digital marketing. And I need to tell this story because basically what happened a few months ago still has me processing whether I did the right thing or if I'm the worst person in the world. And the truth is, I need to get it out of my system. My husband, Benjamin, who's 26, says I did the right thing. But there are days when I wake up at 3 in the morning wondering if I really destroyed his relationship with his family or if they brought it on themselves. I guess I should start at the beginning, like 2 years ago, when I made the decision that apparently changed everything. I got an incredible job offer, like my dream job kind of thing, with a salary that was almost double what I was making at the time. But there was a problem. The job was 1,200 miles away from where we were living. Benjamin worked from home as a software developer, so technically he could move without any issues, but I knew that moving away from his family was going to be complicated. His parents, Kenneth and Barbara, lived like 20 minutes from us at that point, and Benjamin was super close to them. I mean, we had dinner with them almost every Sunday, that kind of thing. When we told them about the job offer, I thought they were going to be happy for me, because it was a huge opportunity, but the reaction was more like, "Oh, that's nice, Hannah. Congratulations." But with that tone that clearly said they weren't happy at all. Kenneth tried to convince me to turn down the offer. He told me, "There are plenty of good jobs here too. You don't need to go that far." And Barbara added something like, "Well, but what is Benjamin going to do there?" As if my husband was a child who couldn't take care of himself. Benjamin told them he supported me completely, that it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. But I could see Barbara's face, like that expression of disappointment mixed with something else. I don't know. Anger, maybe? The thing is, we moved anyway because it was my career, it was our future, and I thought that with time, they would understand. But they didn't understand. During the first months after the move, the calls became less frequent. Before, Benjamin used to talk to his mom like 3 times a week, and suddenly it was once every 2 weeks, and the conversations were weird, very cold. When we would visit on holidays, Barbara was polite but distant, like she was making a huge effort to be nice to me. Kenneth basically ignored me. He'd talk to Benjamin about sports and work, but with me, it was like I didn't exist. My parents, Stephen and Jennifer, noticed the change too. My mom asked me once if everything was okay with the in-laws, and I told her yes, that they were just adjusting to the distance. But inside, I knew they blamed me for taking their son away from them. The situation got really intense like 6 months ago, when Benjamin's sister, Ashley, who was freshly 18, needed to go to college. Turns out there was a pretty good university near where we lived, and Kenneth called us one day to ask if Ashley could stay with us while she studied. Benjamin said yes, without even consulting me first, which annoyed me a bit, but I also understood she was his sister, and that maybe this would help improve the relationship with his parents, so I agreed. We told her she could stay with us without paying rent. She just had to help a little with cleaning and buy her own personal stuff. Hygiene products, extra food if she wanted something specific, that kind of basic stuff. Ashley arrived in August, right before classes started, and from day one I could see this was going to be a problem. She had this princess attitude, like she deserved everything without doing anything in return. She'd leave her stuff scattered all over the house, use all the dishes and not wash them, shower for an hour every morning using all the hot water. Benjamin would try to talk to her. He'd say, "Hey, Ashley, could you wash your dishes? Or could you pick up your clothes from the couch?" And she'd always respond, "Yeah, in a bit." But she never did it. At first I thought, well, she's 18. She's adjusting to living away from home for the first time, give her time. But weeks went by and she didn't improve. Actually, she got worse. She started coming home drunk on weekends, like 3 or 4 in the morning, making noise, knocking things over. Once she threw up in the bathroom and didn't clean anything, just went to sleep, and I had to clean everything the next morning because I had an important Zoom meeting and couldn't have the bathroom be a disaster. When I told her she couldn't keep doing that it was our house and we needed her to respect certain rules, she looked at me like I was the most ridiculous person in the world and said something like, "I'm not asking permission to have fun. I'm 18 years old." Benjamin talked to her after that, told her she was being disrespectful to me, and she called her mom crying, saying I was mean to her, which obviously made Barbara hate me even more. We suggested she look for a part-time job, because supposedly she was here to go to college, but she almost never went to class. She spent all her time at home watching Netflix or going out with friends we didn't even know. She told us she didn't have time to work because college was very demanding, but I literally saw her fail 2 classes because she didn't turn in the final assignments. Kenneth and Barbara would call asking how Ashley was doing, and Benjamin would always tell them she was fine, that she was studying a lot, because he didn't want to create more conflict, but I could see he was frustrated with the situation too. Then, like 2 months ago, what basically made everything explode happened. Ashley came into the kitchen one day where I was making dinner and told me, casually, like she was asking me to pass the salt, "Hey Hannah, I need you guys to buy me a car." I was like, "What?" And she repeated, I need a car. I can't keep using Uber for everything. It's too expensive." I told her we didn't have the money to buy her a car, that if she wanted one she needed to get a job and save up, or ask her parents. She got really mad, started yelling at me that we were selfish, that she was living with us making a huge sacrifice? She was living for free. That the least we could do was help her with transportation. Benjamin heard the yelling and came down to see what was happening. Ashley told him, crying, that I was refusing to help her, that she was only asking for one small thing and I was being horrible to her. Benjamin, to my surprise and relief, told her we weren't going to buy her a car, that it was a very big investment, and that she needed to be more responsible first. Ashley went to her room, slamming the door, and called her parents immediately. We could hear her yelling on the phone about how terrible we were, especially me, because according to her, everything was my fault. The next day, Kenneth called us. He sounded serious, like disappointed dad voice, and told us he needed to tell us something important. He said, "Guys, I'm retiring next month. I won't be working anymore, so I won't be able to keep helping Ashley financially. You guys are going to have to take care of her now. It's your responsibility as family." I was in shock. I literally couldn't believe what I was hearing. I told him, "Kenneth, we can't support Ashley. We have our own expenses. We're saving to buy a house." And he interrupted me and said something like, "Well, Hannah, you were the one who insisted on moving so far away. This is your responsibility now." Benjamin tried to reason with him, told him, "Dad, this doesn't make sense. Ashley can look for a job. She can get student loans if she needs help," but Kenneth didn't want to listen. He said that if we really cared about family, we'd find a way to help Ashley. That's what family does. After we hung up, Benjamin and I sat in silence for like 10 minutes, processing what had just happened. I was furious, like shaking with rage, because it was obvious this was some kind of test, a way to punish me for taking Benjamin away from them. 2 days later, Kenneth and Barbara showed up at our door. They had driven 1,200 miles. Can you believe it? Just to come give us some kind of lecture about family responsibility. Barbara walked into the house without even greeting me, went straight to hug Benjamin and told him something like, "Son, I know you're going through a difficult time." Kenneth sat down in our living room like it was his house and started telling me, very calmly but with that condescending tone that made my skin crawl, that I had been very selfish from the beginning, and that first I took their son away from them, and now I was refusing to help their daughter when she needed us most. I tried to defend myself. Told them it wasn't fair for them to expect us to support Ashley when she was perfectly capable of working, that we didn't have an obligation to buy her a car or pay for all her stuff. Barbara looked at me with that expression, like pity mixed with disgust, and said, "You know what, Hannah? I always knew this would happen. I always knew you were going to put your ambitions before Benjamin's family, and someday he's going to realize that." That hurt. I'm not going to lie. It hurt a lot because it was like everything I had accomplished. My career, our future together, all of that didn't matter because I wasn't putting his family first. Benjamin, who had been quiet until that moment, finally spoke. He told his parents he supported my decision 100%, that Ashley needed to learn responsibility and that we weren't going to buy her a car or support her. He told them that if Kenneth had really retired, which I seriously doubted, by the way, they could continue supporting Ashley with their savings, but that we weren't responsible for her. Kenneth got up from the couch, super angry, and told Benjamin something like, "Your wife has brainwashed you. I don't even recognize who you are anymore." I exploded at that moment. I told them to get out of my house, that they weren't going to come insult me in my own living room, and that Ashley had to leave too. Barbara started crying, saying, "How could I be so cruel to an 8-year-old girl?" And I told her Ashley wasn't a girl. She was a young adult who needed to learn to fend for herself. Benjamin backed me up, told them yes, that Ashley had to go, that we'd give her a week to find another place, but the decision was made. Kenneth and Barbara left furious, without even saying goodbye, and Ashley went to her room crying and calling all her friends to tell them how terrible we were. The following week was horrible. Ashley practically didn't talk to us. When she came down to eat, she'd just take her plate and go to her room. She made some calls looking for places to stay, but most of her friends lived with their parents or in college, dorms, so she didn't have many options. Kenneth called several times trying to get us to change our minds, but Benjamin maintained our position. I felt guilty, to be honest, because deep down she was still my husband's sister, and I was basically kicking her out of the house. But at the same time, I knew that if we gave in on this, we were never going to have peace with his family. At the end of the week, Kenneth and Barbara came back, this time to pick up Ashley's things. The tension was unbearable. Nobody talked except to say things like, "That's her desk. That lamp is hers too." While they were loading boxes into the car, Barbara grabbed my arm and told me, very quietly, so only I could hear, "Someday Benjamin is going to wake up and realize he sacrificed his family for you, and when that happens, don't come to us for help." She left without waiting for an answer, leaving me standing there feeling like the worst person on the planet. That night, after they left, I cried for hours. Benjamin held me and told me we did the right thing, that his family was being manipulative and we couldn't let them control us like that. But I couldn't stop thinking about Barbara's words. What if she was right? What if someday Benjamin blamed me for this? What if I destroyed his relationship with his family forever? Benjamin assured me none of that was going to happen, that he made this decision with me, that nobody forced him, but the doubt was still there, eating away at my peace of mind. Like a week later, my mom called me super confused. She told me, "Hannah, Benjamin's parents called me today." Apparently, Kenneth and Barbara had contacted my parents, hoping they would intervene, tell them I was being irrational, and convince Benjamin to apologize. My mom told them very clearly that she and my dad supported us completely, that Ashley was an adult and it wasn't our responsibility to support her, and that they, as parents, should be teaching their daughter to be independent instead of expecting others to support her. My dad apparently also told them something like, "If you guys can drive 1,200 miles twice to cause drama, you're clearly not as retired or as broke as you claim." That made me feel a bit better, knowing my parents were on my side. But there was still that part of me that felt terrible about the whole situation. Benjamin stopped talking to his parents completely after that, blocked their calls for a while because they wouldn't stop sending him messages telling him he was making a mistake, that family was more important than anything. All that kind of emotional manipulation. And then, like a month ago, I got a message from Ashley. It was long, like a 3-paragraph essay, but basically it said, "Just wanted you to know, my parents bought me an apartment and a car, so in the end, I got what I needed without your help. Thanks for nothing." She attached photos of a new Mazda 3 and an apartment that looked pretty decent. Nothing fancy, but definitely not cheap. I stared at the message for like 5 minutes, processing what it meant. Kenneth and Barbara had had the money all along. Kenneth had never retired, or if he did, he clearly had enough savings to buy Ashley a car and pay her apartment rent. That whole situation, all the pressure, the visits, the lectures, the drama, it had all been a test. They wanted to see if we would give in, if we would let them manipulate us, if I would change my mind to please them. And when we didn't, they just gave Ashley what she wanted anyway, proving they had never needed our help. I showed Benjamin the message and he laughed. Like that bitter laugh, when you realize you've been lied to all along. He said, "See? It was never about the money. They just wanted to control us." After that, we blocked Kenneth, Barbara, and Ashley everywhere. Phone, social media, email, everything. Benjamin said he didn't want any contact with them until they were willing to apologize and treat us with respect, and honestly, I didn't want to hear from them either. We've been visiting my parents more often. Like every 2 months, we drive back to spend the weekend with them, and they've been amazing, super understanding and loving. Benjamin and I have been seriously talking about starting a family soon. I'm 25, he's 26, we both have stable jobs, we just made the first payment on the house we want to buy, and we feel like we're at a good point. But we also decided that when we have kids, we want to be closer to my parents, so we'll probably move again at some point. Maybe not back to where we were before, but definitely within 2 or 3 hours of Stephen and Jennifer instead of the 1,200 miles that separate us now. Sometimes I still wonder if I did the right thing, if it was really worth losing the relationship with Benjamin's family over this. But then I remember how they treated me, how they tried to manipulate us, how they basically blamed me for following my career and living my life, and I realized we didn't lose anything valuable. Benjamin says he's happier now than ever, that he feels free not having to deal with his parents' toxicity, and that if they ever want to be part of our lives, they're going to have to accept us as we are, as a team, without trying to divide us. And the truth is, I don't know if we'll ever reconcile with Kenneth and Barbara. Part of me hopes they'll eventually realize what they did and apologize to us, but another part has already accepted that might never happen, and that's okay. We built our life together, we made decisions that were better for us, and at the end of the day, that's what matters. My mom told me something a few weeks ago that stuck with me. She said, "Sometimes family isn't the people you share blood with. It's the people who support you and love you unconditionally." And I think she's right.